This is interesting. 8:42 Newstalk Sauga 960 Raw. Mike Richards going to talk a little Ticats, and as you will see probably later today on Twitter, dueling stadium backgrounds. Brayden.
Yeah. I like yours better, honestly. It looks a little more nighttime. I like it a little more.
Well, look, you're talking to a guy who's been going to Ticat games for a very long time. My father and I think of all, even having our picture taken on the front page as a kid of the Hamilton Spectator. I mean, my dad said, here's how you feel old. When they named stadiums after the guy who was your professor at McMaster, Ivor Wynne. My dad was taught by Ivor Wynne. He goes, nothing makes you feel older than that.
Wow.
But it is a long time in my family. So, of course, any Ticat talk, just like a lot of fan bases, depending on what's happening with the season, it can be a little pissy. But right now, you can tell that there is panic within the Ticat Nation, and the reason really is around Bo Levi Mitchell, who will not be playing against the Montreal Alouettes, which is a Friday night football TSN game, and it's a short week for the Ticats, who played on a Sunday night.
Yep.
And it is very easily, you can understand why there is upset. It's tough going off 0-2, but you're talking about Winnipeg, which is the best team in the league, quite frankly. And then you've got your arch rivals on the road again. There's a lot that would be scary, but remember, it's the CFL. There's a bunch of teams that are 0-2. There's way too much football left to be panicking, but I do get it, Brayden. By the way, Brayden Neville, thanks so much for joining us here this morning.
Yeah, pleasure to be on the show. Thanks for having me today.
So where do we start with this? What is legitimately, because I'm very with Schultz, who I think is a very capable, solid quarterback. In fact, I'd be honest, if nothing had happened and he was named our starter this year, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's why the Ticats are lucky to have a guy like Matt Schultz, such a solid backup quarterback, a guy who could start on a lot of teams in the CFL. And I think it's huge to have him there. He's a guy that a lot of the guys in that locker room, they can get behind, they have faith in, and that's the most important thing. He's a guy who can move around well in the pocket. He can make things happen. And I think you saw that when he got the chance to come in for Bo when he got injured. And you saw a quarterback who goes 13 for 14, goes for 115 yards. And he's been on the sideline the whole game. He comes in cold, and then he has the performance like he does. I think Schultz is a very capable quarterback, and obviously when you go out and get a guy like Bo Levi Mitchell, you never want to see that guy go down, especially not in the first couple weeks. But when you have a guy like Matt Schultz there who can take control of that offense, who is a proven quarterback. He did it last year when Dane went down, and I think he can do it again this year. So I think Matthew Schultz is a very capable QB. Obviously, we want to see Bo Levi Mitchell get healthy, and whenever that may be, but that's the reason why the team brought Matthew Schultz back, and I think he's very capable of doing the job.
Now, that's certainly, again, obviously probably number one with Ticats concerned. The one thing, now look, whenever there's a blow up on a field or on the sidelines, if you're around football long enough, you realize it happens all the time. Sometimes the cameras catch it, sometimes they don't. When they do catch it, people kind of start getting all upset. I mean, Tim White obviously was not pleased and had an issue with probably a guy not being where he's supposed to be, not throwing a block or running a route that didn't help him, certainly on that play. But people shouldn't make too much. I mean, Tim White is going to be there, and there were some issues last year, but when he came back with a force and was probably the top receiver in the entire league. I wouldn't worry too much about whether I thought there was discord on the team, because I don't believe that to be true.
No, absolutely not. And I think Tim White and the rest of the guys have made that clear. Football is a passionate sport. You're getting hit hard, and sometimes you're not thinking straight after a big hit like that. And there's a lot of passion there. And I don't think Tim White is doing that to be rude or whatever against any of his teammates. I just think it's a passionate game. You just saw a moment of passion there. Tim White is a loved teammate by all of his teammates. He's a leader on this team. He's a guy that when he speaks, players on the team listen to. So I don't think there's an issue there. They made it clear in all the press conferences following the game. And since we've talked to them, Tim White wants to win. He's one of the best quarterbacks in this league. And this team does have a lot of expectations, as they do most years. So I don't see anything from that at all. This team is together. There's nothing to worry about on that front.
We're in conversation with Brayden Neville from the Ticats here this morning, talking about the upcoming game against the Montreal Alouettes. Cody Fajardo, he's going to play the whole season with a chip on his shoulder, folks. I mean, if anyone wants to go out and prove that he did not get a fair shake, which I don't think he did, and quite honestly, in Saskatchewan, I don't think that offensive line helped them either. So they're going to have some challenges with Cody, because this is forget about records at this point. I mean, I don't know why what are they doing? Going to the standings every day? Okay, it's a little inside joke there, because that's what I do. But I think that this is a challenge, but Coach Washington will have this defense going. But playing on a short week as well, Brayden, as you know, not easy going from a Sunday night to a Friday. No,
not at all, especially the week before. Montreal's on a bye week. So they have that extra little bit of rest. The Ticats get that quick turnaround, going from 9 days rest or 8 days rest or whatever it was the previous week to now the 4 days rest. So I think you'll see a team that's still ready to go. I've been watching them in practice. A little slower yesterday. Obviously, they don't want to tire each other out after that game on Sunday, but I think this team's ready for Cody Fajardo. I also think it's a good matchup between the two quarterbacks that might be a little bit similar. And also you have Matthew Schultz returning against his former team, and another quarterback playing with a chip on his shoulder. And I'm very excited to see what these two QBs do in a battle. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think this is an excellent matchup for the Ticats.
And look, there is pressure, as there always is in professional sports. And I think usually it's the longer you're in a position, the greater the expectation, I think, from the fan base. So it seems like Tommy Condell from year to year is everyone's favorite, throwing darts at a board. I mean, this is football, which means the offensive coordinator is very, very important, and play selection. The only thing I would say probably, and this is the one thing I would like to see, because they have enough players to do what they need to be done. Sometimes, and of course, this, again, if you go like the scratching post or anything where all the Ticat fans are complaining, it's predictability. They're always worried about play calling, in that the other team, at least our feeling is as fans, they seem to know what's coming. Do they address that as a team?
I like I said, I believe in Tommy Condell, and I believe the offense believes in Tommy Condell. If you look back at that first game against Winnipeg, some of those play calls, if those passes are complete, those are touchdowns. And I'm not saying that's anything against Bo or the receiving team, but if a lot of those plays, if they are completed and they are very close to be, those are touchdowns, and it could be a completely different game. So in a football game, you can look back at the play calls all you want and say, oh, they should have done this or they didn't do this right. But in a lot of those situations, if you look back at those games, those are the right play calls, and a lot of times that just don't end up being completed.
Coach Reinbold back, which I was happy to see. He's a friend of the show. I always like, after that block punt in Winnipeg, there's a shot of him walking on the sideline, giving a little bit of a wink out there. It's great special teams guy. And I got to think, for the coaching staff and for Coach O, great to have him back on board. Yeah, no, Jeff Reinbold is a great guy. He brings that Hawaii attitude that Reinbold, he's one of the best special teams guys in this league, and he's proven that over the years. And you look at this special teams through the first two games, and they've really been a highlight for this team. They've been causing disruption all over the place. They've been getting touchdowns. They got that in that Winnipeg game. You look at that Omar Bayless touchdown, the block punt, that kind of is what sparked that second half comeback there and made them start marching down the field after that play. So Reinbold's special teams has been exciting to watch. He's a guy who brings a different attitude, a different way of thinking to the game. If you talk to a lot of those guys, everyone's happy to have Jeff Reinbold back, and even talking to him, you just feel that aloha, that Hawaii chill, and so great to have him back. And this special teams, I feel, has been a true highlight so far this season. Yeah, you're gonna get the little hand signals. He's gonna call me brother or whatever. All that stuff going on. He's quite a character. Now, also, I know people like to always talk about when you host the Grey Cup. Yes, it's like you're gonna host the Grey Cup. It is a big deal for the city, as always, in any city that it's in. I just think also at times let's not look too far ahead. We gotta sort of take care of business before we get there. But there's no question. I saw some of the sort of the sketches and what it would look like. it's a great facility. I mean, I think it's a real home advantage as well for the Ticats, and a very special with obviously lots going on for someone like yourself, Grey Cup being in the home city.
It's going to be a super exciting time, and yeah, it's always great to have the Grey Cup here. We're doing it bigger and better than we did in 2021, and yeah, it's going to be great. There's going to be a big outdoor tailgate experience for the fans. That'll be going on during it. There's going to be a giant stage on the north end that'll be for entertainment and for whoever the Grey Cup performers will be. There's going to be a lot going on. There's new seating going to be added. So there's going to be on both the north and south end, more seating, as well as on the sideline terrace. You're going to see a ton of more seating. So I believe it's going to be around 32,000 is what they're looking for to reach for the amount of people at the game. And it's a big thing for the city of Hamilton. It's something that people can look forward to, whether you're going to the game or not. There's going to be a ton of stuff going around the city. So it'll be a great experience. Obviously, we're hoping that the Ticats the home team are in this Grey Cup, and that the party can be even bigger to celebrate them.
Well, and as people know, so there'd be 30,000 and change, 32,000.
Yeah.
In the day, they went through this thing where they just tried to build the end zones as big as they could. In Winnipeg was one of them, the famous rocket beer can touchdown. But then the one in Saskatchewan, where I don't know how big that one end zone was, but I think they had 110,000 people. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. And one guy has a heart attack.
Wow.
And one guy has a heart attack way up in where it's put together with banana skins and rope. I don't know. Yeah. Wow. It was like a fruit basket at the top. When the wind would blow, the thing actually seriously was shifting back and forth. But when a guy has a heart attack, they couldn't get him out. They couldn't get him out. So they no longer do that. So people are like, well, why wouldn't you put 10,000 on one side and 10,000 in the end on the other one? Just due to safety, it just wasn't worth it.
Well, I mean, I obviously I'm hoping that doesn't happen in Hamilton, but I'm sure our staff would be able to take care of any situation. But yeah, I mean, I feel as though stuff can happen at games, at sporting events, whether it be you look at a stadium like in the NFL where they have a large capacity. Stuff happens all the time. Obviously, that's not something you ever hope for, but I know that's something that if anything did happen, our staff would be more than equipped and ready to take care of a situation like that. But yeah, you obviously would never hope for something like that to happen.
Yeah, they don't add on to the Canadian stadiums like that for safety reasons.
Yeah.
The one thing that is solid, you've got in Hamilton, I think, a great ownership with some real great people, including caretaker Bob and Scotty Mitchell there, who's fantastic, and of course our good friend Jim Lawson, whose family go way back with the Ticats, and in fact to go back to the Hamilton Tigers actually all the way back. So wow. You will always have at least strong footing as far as I'm concerned because of that ownership. So we're thrilled that you could join us here this morning, Brayden. I got my fingers crossed and hoping for a big win, home opener. I'm assuming what's kickoff Friday?
I believe it's 7:00. So it's going to be fun. Make sure if you come down from 6 to 7, we have a happy hour where we have $5 beers. So I know a lot of fans like that. And our alumnus of distinction will be Speedy Banks. So he'll be there signing autographs, a legend. So it'll be great to have him there. So make sure you come down and get an autograph from him and have some of those $5 beers.
And also something that we talked about in the show. I should have addressed this right at the top. You have a fantastic country club name.
Oh, really?
I mean, Brayden Neville. Excuse me, son, where's my card? There better not be a scratch on the chrome.
Well, I'm far from a country club guy, but I appreciate the compliment.
Take care, Brayden. Great job here this morning.
Thanks a lot, Micah, and thanks for having me. And big shout out to Brendan, your producer. He's a great guy and a good friend of mine.
He is a great guy and does a great job for us. That was fantastic here this morning. And